Well, it's 2025 and AI is helping us live better lives, including helping businesses with government relations. Page's AI lobbyist uses AI to help organizations monitor, analyze, and influence government in real time. With such turbulent political times, companies need clear, actionable information about government, and Page helps them with that. Page AI can ingest government data from committees, consultations, legislation, and news coverage through audio, video, and written resources, and then analyze that info based on your interests and concerns. Sound cool? Check out withpage.com. Hey, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Amanda.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Kathleen.
And this is the federal election edition of Beyond a Ballot, powered by DoorDash.
Hello, I'm Hannah Thibodeau. Welcome. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, and let me start this way. Wow, already 7.3 million Canadians cast a ballot, a 25% increase from the last election in 2021. Now, in saying that, millions of people knew who they wanted to vote for even before the platforms were dropped. And that includes all three major parties. But the final one was released today, Pierre Poilievre in Woodbridge, Ontario, and we are well into the final week. Today, he announced $75 billion in tax cuts, but also a very large deficit. Rachel Siegel is going to dig into all of this for us. Go ahead.
All right. The platform is out. Happy Platform Day to my fellow conservatives who listen. Pierre today, platform says he wants to lower the cost of food and housing, stop the crime, bring home jobs, invest in Canada, put Canada first. Those are all things that I think are fantastic. And when it comes to the dollar amounts, because this is a costed platform, this platform in comparison to the Liberal platform saves Canadians about $125 billion. So his priorities here are one, to cut the deficit by 70%. We have astronomical deficit over the last from the last government. So we were all watching to see if this would be a balanced budget, but 70% is what he came out with. Doing that through cutting bureaucracies, consultants, foreign aid, and then lowering tax by 15%. Building 2.3 million homes across the country, and locking up criminals. Those are the big highlights of this platform, the big issues within it. And ultimately, we've talked a lot about this concept of axing the tax and whether or not he was talking about it throughout the campaign. But one of the things that stood out to me were just the number of promises he made that really resonated with me. And I think there's a lot of people that listen who will find that they resonate with them too. It's axing the taxes, building the homes, unlocking the resources, unleashing our economy, stopping crime, and bringing home powerful paychecks. And I think that Pierre's message of hope for Canadian families, and especially when you read that powerful paychecks, putting that power back in people's hands in this country after a long time of struggling, is a hopeful message. And I think that Canadians next week will be fueled to go to the ballot box to vote for change and hope. And I actually, Hannah, just on your point of advanced polls, think a lot of Canadians already have.
Yeah, there's something going on out there for sure.
Right.
Let's talk about Liberal leader Mark Carney, Amanda Alvaro. He spent the day in Quebec City. He's also in Trois-Rivières, Laval, campaigning in a province with 78 seats and a tradition of rewarding ground game and momentum. Now, for the Liberals, Quebec is a battleground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this will be one of the last campaign stops in Quebec, I imagine. So he was obviously making that appeal to Quebecers, talked about protecting Quebec and Canada's identity. He really highlighted some of the components of the Liberal platform, like protecting supply management to defend Canadian jobs and farmers. He talked about reinforcing Radio-Canada to protect Quebec voices and voices across Canada. Talked about supporting Quebec artists and artist creators, establishing Canadian-made standards, kickstarting the clean energy supply chain by investing in critical minerals. So a lot of campaign promises within the platform that are really important to Quebecers. I will take a little of my time to mention one thing about the conservative platform, and I'll give you a highlight reel that I am going to use it as my campaign call it as well. But Polyev did, in fact, do some axing. He axed his first campaign promise. So with less than a week left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, he finally released his platform. I was getting worried. I wanted somebody to say, like, hello, does Polyev know that the election's almost over and this platform hasn't been released? But he walked back his very first promise he made in this election, and that was a middle class tax cut. So as you recall, he had his bring it home tax cut. It actually takes 4 years to come home. And in comparison, the Liberal Party, the government's middle class tax cut is 4 times larger. This year, the Liberal plan supports Canadians today when they need it most. That's my kind of duo shout out / what Carney's up to today.
Okay. And we will come back to Rachel on that too. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh also responded to Polyev's announcement today. He was out west, though, talking a lot about strategic voting in the past couple of days, an appeal that's really part math, part message. Kathleen Monk, over to you on all of this.
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh was in the West and on his way to Edmonton in the coming hours. And he was focused, frankly, on a bit of Carney's background. So it is a trying to bring back some of that soft Liberal vote. We know while people are drawn to the Carney and the Liberal brand, a lot of that vote is still soft, and Democrats are still trying to shake some of that loose and bring it back to the 2021 coalition of voters that brought them into 25 seats. So you saw Jagmeet Singh actually attacking Carney once again, focusing on his history, where he had been in charge of for-profit healthcare organizations, corporations, and basically challenged Carney to enforce the Canada Health Act and ban American companies from buying up or trying to get into the Canadian universal public healthcare market, and challenging him to also deliver on full and universal pharmacare that we've talked about on the show before. The idea that New Democrats are pushing for, that the 100 top medicines that Canadians need in their day-to-day lives would be provided for free. But what else can I tell you? I also, if I get the opportunity, will talk about the news of the day, which definitely is the Conservative platform. And I think listeners to this podcast would want to know, when you search through the multi-page document, which is the Conservative platform. In fact, I'm just going to confirm. I think it's a number of pages.
17.
It is how many?
17.
So 17. And there are basically 2 mentions, 2 of women. One in relation to prisons and women's incarceration rates and that kind of stuff. And then the other one around domestic violence. But two, not women's health, not women's role in terms of the family and childcare. I can think of lots of areas where I want to mention women.
Could you imagine if he mentioned women and the role in the household? All of
childcare? No, I think that would be great.
Role, people would be up in arms if he talked like that.
Really? On women's health?
Yeah, women's roles in the household.
We're on their family in terms of raising children and wanting childcare and access to increased.
Am I allowed to respond?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sitting here enjoying this back and forth.
I agree with you, Kathleen. I wish that there was more specifically for women in all of this. The thing that conservatives...
2 mentions, though, Rachel, 2. Like, literally 2.
I know, but the thing that conservatives do is that they believe in that all issues are women's issues. So when you talk about the economy, that's a women's issue. Crime is a women's issue. Housing is a women's issue.
I didn't notice we don't need pay equity in there either, actually, when I searched.
I agree with you. I'd love to see pay equity in there. No problem. But I also don't want to confuse that the conservatives don't care about women, because they do deeply. It's just that conservatives believe that all issues are women's issues, and that the housing is a women's issue. Poverty is a women's issue, and they are. And so just because they're not labeled as such doesn't mean they don't care. So I want to clarify that record there.
Okay, let's do campaign call out now. And Amanda, I'm going to go to you first on this one.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple. My first one is to the economists who took on the Conservative platform today. I'm just going to read a couple of quick responses from Canadian economist Andrew Leach. The Conservative platform definitely reads like a platform you cobbled together in a week or two after you determined that your plan to not risk your big lead with a costed platform wasn't going to work. Mike Moffat, the Conservative plan is out, and oof, this is a costing disaster. Mark Levesque, here's the link to the fully costed Conservative plan. Oh man, guess what? They're not going to be balancing the budget at any time during their term if elected. And then my favorite call out, the fact that the Conservative Party platform, which failed to mention women, does have 17 pictures of Pierre Poilievre, including 4 full-page ones with no content.
Are those
So
things
if
tied?
visually we're trying to determine what matters most to Poilievre, it may be, are you ready? Poilievre.
Go. Okay, Rachel, I'm going to have to go to you for your campaign call out after that one.
Feel like I'm getting piled on here today. Taking bullets. Some of those feel like they were exactly what came out of the Liberal, the criticisms that came out of the Liberal platform, just switched with Poilievre instead of Carney. So my shout out today actually is a different direction. I'm going to give a shout out to Elizabeth May, who is in my province, Saanich Gulf Island. She's on the island. It's been reported out here in a lot of media that she might lose her seat to the Conservatives. I will say that. But I do want to give her a shout out because she has been an MP, a leader for so long. She has been the only woman on many debate stages federally. And it's kind of sad to see that she might lose that seat. So shout out to
good call
Lizzie
out.
May. Yeah,
that's a good call out because you know what? In the House of Commons too, when there's legislation, she knows every piece of legislation inside and out as well.
Right?
So nice call out. Kathleen Monk, over to you. Campaign call out.
I am going to call out, well, first of all, as you know, advance polls are closed, but today is the last day you can actually vote in any Elections Canada office across the country. So you still can vote in advance of election day today. And that's a good segue to thank all the election workers, right? So those folks who are working at the polls over the long Easter weekend, all that hustling they did. So big shout out to them. And then my other campaign call out, I'm taking 2 today. I think my friends took a couple too, is for all the ad makers. And I'm really hoping that before this election is called, we can actually do a segment on ads because I think there's a lot to unpack, especially in terms of that male golfer ad that I have been obsessing about for the last, 4 to 8 hours. So if we could talk about that at some point, that would be very fun.
Yeah, you brought it up yesterday. It was a good one. But that's all the time we have for today. But we will find out a time that we can talk about those ads because that's a good discussion. We are 6 days to go. Millions, as we've been mentioning, have already voted. Leaders are sprinting through swing ridings, and the electorate seems more decided and even more divided than ever. Stay with us. It is going to be an interesting final stretch, and we are having a blast.
Thank you for listening. New episodes come out daily, and you can find Beyond a Ballot on Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. A huge thank you to our title sponsor, DoorDash, and sponsors Equal Voice, Page, and Canada Powered by Women for making this election special possible. Speak to you tomorrow.